Hey guys, Lord Naren White here, the Holy Ghost, the one true God. Back with you with the next video in my Line of God's Daily Diary series. As usual, before I discuss what I have achieved since yesterday's Daily Diary video, I want to read you a chapter from the Bible. Today, I will be bringing you Zechariah chapter 12. The burden of the word of the Lord for Israel, saith the Lord, which stretcheth forth the heavens, and layeth the foundation of the earth, and formeth the spirit of man within him. Behold, I will make Jerusalem a cup of trembling unto all the people round about, when they shall be in the siege both against Judah and against Jerusalem. And in that day will I make Jerusalem a burdensome stone for all people. All that burden themselves with it shall be cut in pieces, though all the people of the earth be gathered together against it. In that day, saith the Lord, I will smite every horse with astonishment, and his rider with madness. And I will open mine eyes upon the house of Judah, and will smite every horse of the people with blindness. And the governors of Judah shall say in their heart, the inhabitants of Jerusalem shall be my strength in the Lord of hosts their God. In that day I will make the governors of Judah like an hearth of fire among the wood, and like a torch of fire in a sheaf. And they shall devour all the people round about, on the right hand and on the left. And Jerusalem shall be inhabited again in her own place, even in Jerusalem. The Lord also shall save the tents of Judah first, that the glory of the house of David and the glory of the inhabitants of Jerusalem do not magnify themselves against Judah. In that day shall the Lord defend the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and he that is feeble among them at that day shall be as David, and the house of David shall be as God, as the angel of the Lord before them. And it shall come to pass in that day that I will seek to destroy all the nations that come against Jerusalem, and I will pour upon the house of David and upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem the spirit of grace and of supplications, and they shall look upon me, whom they have pierced, and they shall mourn for him, as one mourneth for his only son, and shall be in bitterness for him, as one that is in bitterness for his firstborn. In that day there shall be great mourning in Jerusalem, as the mourning of Hadad-rimon in the valley of Megiddon. And the land shall mourn, every family apart, the family of the house of David apart, and their wives apart, the family of the house of Nathan apart, and their wives apart, the family of the house of Levi apart, and their wives apart, the family of Shimei apart, and their wives apart. All the families that remain, every family apart, and their wives apart. Praise be to you, Lord. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. So here I'm just doing some research on two different verses here. The first one I do not believe is a reference to the Spirit of God for sure. Yeah, it's not. The verse Zechariah 12:1 refers to the spirit of man. That is indeed referring to the spirit of a human being, for example. So that's Zechariah 12:1. Now the other verse that I wanted to see was the spirit it mentions in Zechariah 12:10, the spirit of grace and of supplications. So that was another example of, I'm not sure if this is a reference to the Spirit of God, and it is. It is indeed a reference to the Spirit of God. So for my own edification, I will write that down just so that I know everywhere, these references to the Spirit of God during the time of the Old Testament. So the verse once more, it reads, So let's read the verse one more time here, Zechariah 12:10. Let's actually start with Zechariah 12:8. In that day shall the Lord defend the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and he that is feeble among them at that day shall be as David, and the house of David shall be as God, and the angel of the Lord before them. And it shall come to pass in that day that I will seek to destroy all the nations that come against Jerusalem, and I will pour upon the house of David and upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem the spirit of grace and of supplications, and they shall look upon me whom they may have pierced, and they shall mourn for him, as one mourneth for his only son, and shall be in bitterness for him, as one that is in bitterness for his firstborn. So a very beautiful imagery there that God gives, which is I just love that idea where it's honestly like such a beautiful chapter, like a beautiful sequence here from my perspective as the Spirit of God. You can see here he says in 12:9, in Zechariah 12:9 it reads, "And it shall come to pass in that day that I will seek to destroy all the nations that come against Jerusalem." And then the very next verse says, "And I will pour upon the house of David and upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem the spirit of grace and of supplications." And it's just very powerful in terms of the fact that I'm honored as the Spirit of God. For example, one of the notable verses for me that, because I do not have memory of my deeds during the time of the, as I was saying, because I do not have memory of my time during the Old Testament, for example, I cherish verses like this in the book of Judges, verse 3, 9 and 10, which reads, "And when the children of Israel cried unto the Lord raised up a deliverer to the children of Israel, who delivered them, even Othniel the son of Kenaz, Caleb's younger brother. And the Spirit of the Lord came upon him, and he judged Israel, and went out to war. And the Lord delivered Chushan-Rishathaim, king of Mesopotamia, into his hand, and his hand prevailed against Chushan-Rishathaim." So, examples like that when there's some kind of adversity going on, and the Spirit of the Lord's name is there within those verses, within those pages, whether it's empowering somebody, whether it is prophecy, whether it is the Lord referencing the Spirit of God. It is an honor to have been, part of that struggle and part of that, that fight, part of that challenge, on the side of the Lord. So that's what I think about when I think about that verse, is what an honor that is. So with the remaining time in this video, I'll go ahead and talk about how I've been doing, which is good. Everything has been going well. I am continuing to have patience and faith, continuing to do well. Everything is going well, pushing through any and all adversity, and standing tall, standing strong in the name of God, and all my glory is to God. So that is how things have been. I just remind myself to always continue to have patience and faith. Just reminding myself that this is that as the Spirit of God, I need to be thinking about 100-year time segments, not like 100-day time segments. Where my gospel has left off at this time, it has left off talking about my children, my unborn children, and the children I intend to foster as well. And all of that is potentially starting in the next century, but I'm laying the foundation and groundwork for that now, so that I can have the infrastructure in place to scale my faith in such a way that is, per the expectations that I have for myself. So that is the goal that I have. And of course, all the glory is to God for that. So with that, I'll go ahead now and transition over to what I have achieved since yesterday's Daily Dive video. Since yesterday's Daily Dive video, I worked my software developer job, I trained MMA, and I've created this Daily Dive video for 6/27/24. And with no further achievements since yesterday's Daily Dive video, I want to go ahead and say thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. Please like, comment, and subscribe, as it greatly helps the channel. Light be with you all. Take care, and Thanks again.